Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having this conversation with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be talking to all of the women of Hudson today about how to lead yourself well.
Yeah, awesome. So, as you guys know, we are doing a series called the 360 Degree Leader. The 360 Degree Leader just takes us through what leadership is, right, and how we can make a difference from wherever we are in the organization. The purpose, of the series is to help us learn how to build influence with the people around us. And we can do that in two different ways, I think, by adding value to the people around us and building relationships with the people around us. And so we've talked through kind of what it looks like to be a leader. We talked through the 5 levels of leadership. And last time we talked about the myths of leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then today, before we get into like the meaty, like how do I actually start adding value to others, we're going to talk about what it looks like to lead yourself well first, right? Because nobody wants to follow you if you're a hot mess.
Yeah,
Right?
because then they're going to be a hot mess too. If I see someone, that's a hot mess driving the express train, I'm not going to want to join with them. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to follow somebody that has their stuff together.
Yep. Absolutely. So last year when we did the Growing with Intention series, I kept reiterating a quote that said, success is something you attract by the person you become, right? And so we talked a lot about like how can we be intentional with some of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis to point us in the direction that we want to go. And that's, a lot of that I think like came back to me as I was studying for this, managing yourself well. And so leading yourself well means being able to like manage your time effectively, setting priorities, being accountable for your commitments, and then taking actions towards achieving your goals. So let's start with, maybe emotions, managing our emotions. Why is that important?
Managing emotions is so important. You have to be in charge of your emotions. You're responsible for your reaction, and everything doesn't deserve a reaction. If you're so high strung and emotional and, all over the place, people aren't going to be able to approach you. People aren't going to trust your decision making if if your emotions are running high all the time. You've got to be even and level in order to be able to be successful and help lead the people around you.
Yeah, I think that especially as women, one of the things that we get dinged on the most is, she's so emotional, right? Like she can't control her emotions. She can't manage her emotions. And so I think that, that's one of the things when we talk about leading yourself well, that's so important because it's not wrong to have emotions.
Right.
But you just have to be able to manage them. You have to, I think, first know, hey, what kind of things trigger me? What situations should I pull myself out of? Like, what environments is it okay for me to be in? And what's going to kind of like bring out that emotion in me?
Absolutely. And, we were talking earlier, and I think Kenny Rogers said it the best. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. I think
Absolutely.
that explains it in its entirety.
Yep, totally agree, right? And then once you do start to understand that your triggers or the situations you can be in or shouldn't be in, then there are definitely different things that you can do to kind of like.
You've created options for yourself. One good thing that works for me when I'm trying to regulate my emotions, because I do kind of have a switch that flips, is to practice deep breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Sometimes it takes 3 deep breaths, sometimes it takes 23. It just depends on the situation I'm in, but that always brings me back and kind of helps me ground my emotions a little bit, level things out.
Maria, do we want to do one of those breaths?
Yes, let's do one. Ready? Breathe in and breathe it out. Don't you feel better already?
Feel better. Another thing that when we talk about, managing yourself well is managing your time, right? So I said managing your time effectively involves making intentional decisions about how you spend your time and using it in a way that aligns with your goals and your priorities.
Yes, using a planner helps. Using a calendar will help you manage your time better. Staying focused on one task at a time. I know that's so hard because we have 17 different things going on, and everybody thinks that they can multitask. But there have actually been studies that show that one can't multitask well. So if you kind of do one thing at a time, focus on that specific thing, and then change gears and move to the next, then you'll be able to manage your time more efficiently, I think.
Yeah. Listen, if we make plans and it's not on my calendar, then we were just playing around.
Yeah.
Those plans were not real.
It's never really going to happen.
I think it's important. I use a calendar all the time because, I have to, because I've been there where I double booked everything. I missed appointments and meetings, and I couldn't manage it. But putting it on a calendar is something that I really felt like helped. I did, I started blocking time out. And then, I told you that right now, what I'm really working on is kind of getting away from my email managing me, right? And so instead of sitting in front of my computer and just responding to emails as they come through and not ever being able to kind of get to the end of them, but then at the end of the day, I didn't get anything accomplished because all I did was respond to emails, right?
But all your emails are done though, right?
But they're not.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've been working on kind of shutting my email down during the day so that I can focus on a task that needs to be done, right? I have a checklist in front of me. This project needs to get done. I need to work on it some. And then I can open up my email and spend an hour kind of going through emails and managing and delegating, prioritizing those, and then go to the next task. But I feel like time management is ongoing for me. Like, I don't do well at it, and I try really, really hard. So I'm still just working through how are the best ways to do that. But I think it is a part of managing yourself well.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. What about priorities?
Ooh, priorities. That's a good one. A lot of people set goals, these outlandish goals, and they fall off the wagon. They're never able to achieve them because they're not in smaller sections. So whenever you prioritize your things, you're breaking it down into smaller sections with the end in mind. You're keeping your end goal in mind, and you can have, one section, you complete that, the next one leads to the next one, and it leads to the next one. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It allows you to prioritize your day. I don't even know where the heck I was going with that.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're right in that, one, I think it's important to know your goals, right? Know your goals, because you can't prioritize anything in the manner of taking you towards your goals unless you know what your goals are. And then also your values. What are the things that you value in life? I've told this story before, but at some point in my life, a couple years ago, I did my values, and I said, okay, here are the things that I value. I value my faith. I value my family. And then I looked at kind of where my priorities lie, and I realized that I was taking my husband for granted, right? That he would just be there, and I was prioritizing everything above him. And I said, well, I said that that's the thing that I value, right? And yet my priorities don't show that. And so I set aside a specific day of the week. A couple years ago, I said, Wednesdays is your day, right? That's our date night. So we'll do whatever. We'll cook dinner together, just eat together, play Uno, just play it, whatever. Just spend that time together. And I don't make any other plans. There have been times before that you're scheduling a dinner or something, and you're well, David can only do it this day, or TC can only do it this day. And I'm I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't make it, right? Wednesday is the night. And so that's what it looks to prioritize. It looks like to prioritize something. So anyway, as we talk about, kind of leading yourself well, it is important to know where you're going, right? And then prioritize things.
That's kind of your plan. Making a plan, like I talked about with your goals, breaking them down into smaller pieces. Without a plan, you're just kind of driving blind. You've got to have a plan in order. You got to know where you're going to go, make your plan, and then you'll be able to get there faster.
Yeah, so that goes right into our managing yourself well by managing your time effectively, right? Saying, okay, where am I going to spend my time, right? I think that goes hand in hand with with your priorities.
It does.
And we talked about setting these, or we already went over time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ignore that. We're going into energy.
Yep. Energy.
how do we manage our energy? Well, what does that mean, right? So I said managing your energy involves balancing your physical, emotional, and mental energy levels to maintain your overall well-being and performance.
Stay away from the energy suckers, the Debbie Downers, the people that are always wanting to gossip, the people that are full of drama. Social media, that's another big one. I mean, if you're scrolling on social media for 20 or 30 minutes at a time, I promise you it's going to just kind of suck the energy right out of you. You got to surround yourself with positive people that have kind of like-minded, have the same goals in mind as you, that are on a growth pattern, that are positive. Because if you are having one of those kind of I feel negative days, then you hang around the right person for 20 minutes and boom, your energy level goes up immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about managing your energy, we talk about prioritizing sleep, right? That's so important. If you're not rested, then you can't increase your energy without,
Right, you can't think clearly.
That's what sleep is, right? Just
It's a reboot, like a refresh.
yeah. So prioritizing sleep, exercising, eating well, managing your stress, taking breaks when you need to take breaks, right? And then, you said say no, right? I think that's so important.
Yes.
That we say no. I read this book one time called The Best Yes. I think it was by Lisa Turkhurst. But it was really good because it's important to know, like, what things should I say yes to and what things should I say no to. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it broke my heart because she is one of the hardest workers that I know, and she just goes 120% every single day. And I was like, you're gonna burn yourself out. You're doing a hell of a job, but if you keep doing this, like you're not gonna be able to maintain. And she looked at me and she said, I'm afraid to say no because as a woman, I don't want to be looked at and said that, well, she can't do it, right?
Oh,
She can't do
yeah.
it. So she just continues to go. But guys, if you're managing yourself well, you're going to learn how to say yes to the right things and how to say no to the things that are not the right
I think
things.
time management plays a role in saying no. You need to make sure that you have your plan, and in your plan it says I need to do these things, and if somebody asks you to do something and it doesn't align with your plan or your goal for the day, then it is absolutely okay to say no. Self-care, taking care of yourself, then if you're able to take care of yourself well, then you're able to take care of your family, your teammates, your direct reports. All of the things kind of just line up.
Yeah. And then managing your thinking, right? So managing your thinking involves being aware of your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes, and actively working to change them when they're unhelpful or negative.
That's really, really important. One way to do that is to practice positive self-talk. Just kind of hype yourself up. You got to be your own hype man sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, you've got this, like, you can do it, like, you're doing great. Another thing is to surround yourself with positivity. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're around the Debbie Downers, you're going to become the Debbie Downer yourself. You got to be around people that are going to reinforce that positive thinking, that positive attitude, positive affirmations.
Yep. Another thing that we can do is kind of reframe the way we speak or reframe the way we see situations. We say a lot like, don't wake up and be like, oh, I have to go to work, right?
Yeah.
Like, instead, I get to go to work, or I'm so blessed to have woken up this morning. I'm so grateful for my children that just threw, like a whole gallon of milk all over the floor.
And then dumped a box of Cheerios on it, and it's playing with it, wiping it everywhere.
Yeah, right. But if we can choose the attitude or the way that we look at a situation. So we can choose whether to see the positive in it or to see the negative in it. Because there is a way to kind of reframe everything to see the positivity in it, and that's going to kind of change your mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then practice gratitude, right? Which is kind of the same thing, reframing our mindset, seeing the positive and being grateful, right? Start your day out being grateful for something, anything. There is something. You woke up with a roof over your head. You woke up with a job to go to. You woke up with, children that are healthy, right?
You woke up in general that,
You woke up.
Yes, gratitude. And I promise you, I don't remember where I heard it or if it was a book I read. If you wake up every morning and you journal, or you tell yourself 3 things that you're grateful for, and it could be anything, something that, even if you don't feel like there's anything in your specific life at that moment that you're grateful for, something you're grateful for in your best friend's life, maybe her new job opportunity, or maybe her, her health, or her ability to be able to, be a good friend to you. There's always, always, always something to be grateful for.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so managing yourself well, managing your words, right? Being aware of what you say, how you say it, and then actively working to communicate in a way that's clear and respectful. I think it's so important, again, especially as women, right? Like the words we say, everything is like looked at under a microscope that we do, how we say things. So managing your personal, like your own self, means, hey, how do I say the right things? How am I respectful when I say them? Am I listening actively to what I say? Am I staying away from gossip and negativity, right? And then am I speaking with integrity, meaning, right, like, do I do what I say I'm going to do?
That is a huge one for me. Being honest and trustworthy with your communication, avoiding exaggerations or dishonesty. Being very clear and speaking the truth all of the time is going to create that trust bond between you and, your coworker, your teammate, even your spouse in your personal life.
Your children.
Yes, your children. And that is a huge part of managing yourself well, is how you represent yourself, your integrity with the words that come out of your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so managing yourself well, finally, managing your personal life, right? So defining your priorities, knowing what your goals are, what your values are, creating a routine. That's a big one, right?
Yes.
We do that with babies as soon as they're born. There's a reason.
Yes, there is an absolute reason for that.
Not just flying from the seat of your pants. Like, have something, that you do, and habits that you have in place, a routine that you have in place. It will help you manage things more effectively. Manage your finance, cultivate healthy relationships, pursue personal growth, meaning you're continuously learning to grow and develop new skills, right? If I want to learn how to fish, or I want to learn to bake a pie, do it, right? To learn and keep growing, keep getting better.
And time is so short. My grandmother told me one time when my kids were really, really young, she said, the days are long and the years are short. So there's no better chance. Stop procrastinating. There's no better opportunity or time than to do it now. Like you said, if there's a new skill you want to learn, something you want to bake, your quote bucket list, something you've always wanted to do, go do it.
Do it, because listen, practicing self-care and then finally having fun, right, is all a part of leading yourself well.
Yeah. Is it even worth it if you're not having fun at some point in time,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Awesome. So, ladies, lead yourself well before you can go out and say, hey, I want others to follow me, or I want to be able to influence other people. Take care of the hot mess.
Yes. Take care of the hot mess, and don't be the driver of that hot mess express.
Don't be the driver of the hot mess express.